Hello, welcome back to another TBR video, and today I'm going to be building my TBR for the month of August. As always, I'm going to pick 2 stars from my TBR jar. They're the books that you've recommended to me and they're patiently waiting in the jar for me to pull them out. So as always, if you want to recommend a book to me, remember that there is a book recommendation form in the description box down below. So if you do want to recommend something to me, then by all means please fill in that form. You can be anonymous if you want to, so you don't have to tell me who you are if you are shy, or if you want to, you can also leave a comment on any of my videos. Let me know the book that you would like to recommend and I will take a look at it. If I haven't read it before and it looks interesting to me, then I'll pop it into the jar. Now, no one has recommended anything new to me in the last few weeks, so there are no new recommendations in the jar, but there's still plenty of stars for me to pick from. So without further ado, let me grab my TBR jar, which is here for the month, and then I'm going to give it a shake up and pull 2 stars from this jar. So let's tip some out and let's see what we get. Okay, I've randomly selected a green star and a blue star here. So I'm going to pop that back on the shelf, and then let's see what we have got in the green star first. Okay, so the first one I've picked is Bad Intentions by Mila, Kane, and this was an anonymous recommendation, so I'm not sure who recommended it, but thank you if it was you, because this one has actually been on my personal TBR for a while. I've read a Mafia romance from Mila Kane, really enjoyed it and wanted to get to her hockey romance because I believe this is a dark sports romance and the hero in this one does play hockey. So I'll just hold that up so you can see that that is the book that I picked. So let's take a look then and see what this book is all about. So it says that it's a dark hockey bully romance and it's book 1 in the Hellions of Jade Hara. It is 452 pages and was first published in 2023, so August 2023. The blurb on this one says, when trouble follows you home, Lily. His name was Caden and he was a golden boy, an instant hit with everyone I knew, but the mask slipped and cracked in front of me and I saw underneath. If I hadn't, maybe everything would have been different. Maybe he would have let me go. I guess I'll never know. I saw him and I can never change that. Most importantly, he saw me. Now the coach says he's staying with us for the season in the room right next to mine. I'm locked inside with my bully and he's watching my every move. And at the bottom it says, meet the Ice Gods, the hockey players who never play by the rules and own Jade Harbor and everyone in it. Bad Intentions is a standalone bully romance featuring a possessive hockey playing ice god and the smart sheltered object of his obsession. So like I said, I'm very intrigued to read that, so I'm very glad I pulled that one from the jar. Okay, so the next one is the blue star. Let's take a look what's inside this one. Okay, so this is actually a really good pick as well for this month. It's Pay for Your Lies by Khai, Hara. This one was recommended by Vanessa5641 and this is book 2 in a series that I started. So I actually picked this one from the jar before and put it back because I picked this one, but I really like the look of this series, and because book 2 had been recommended to me, I decided to go back and read book 1 in that series. So I previously read book 1 based on the pick from the jar, but I put book 2 back in because I didn't have time to go back to that series at the time, but I really wanted to, so I thought I'd give it another shot in the jar. So I'm really glad that I picked that one out, and so I'm going to hold this one up so you can see that that is the one that I picked. So let's go and take a look and see what that book is about. Okay, so like I said, this is book 2 and it's book 2 in the Royal Crown Academy series. It's 429 pages and was published in January of 2023. The blurb on this one says, Reese. The moment I see her, I want her, and what I want, I always get. It's the competitive side of me. Learning that she has a boyfriend already enrages me, but does nothing to deter me. I know that eventually she'll submit to me and be mine. I'm so sure of it that I bet my friends I can crack her in a month. I just hope I don't come to regret it. Thea. From the moment I meet him, he's determined to have me. He doesn't know that I'm just as competitive as he is, and he's met his match. I'm attending Royal Crown Academy on an athletic scholarship for my senior year. The only things I care about are good performances on the field and lots of fun off of it. I'm not interested in any of the Resident Heartbreakers games, but find myself sucked in when the soccer star becomes my personal coach. As we spend more time together, I see a different side of him and find myself falling for him a bit more every day. But can I really trust him? So like I said, I read book 1 in this series, really enjoyed it, and so really looking forward to carrying on with this series. So 2 great picks to start off with. Okay, so next up then I will pick out one book from this jar, and this is my version of 12 Recs from 12 Friends, because in here I put some of my favourite booktubers' favourite picks from 20 24. So I've already picked out 6 books from this jar now. I've been doing this since February because obviously I put them into the jar initially in January. So let's see what I pull out this time. I'm going to go for this pale blue one here. So this one is The Scattered Bones by Nicole Scarano. It's a dark fantasy romance, and this was recommended by April from Happily Ever April. And so I'm just going to hold that one up so that you can see that that is the one I picked. Okay, so let's take a look and see what this one is about. So, like I said, this one is a dark fantasy romance. I believe it's a standalone as well. It's just 276 pages, and it was first published in July 2023. The blurb on this one says, "I will love you until I am nothing but dust, and even then, I'll still love you." When a mysterious man known only as the Stranger promises to return Cade to her, Sella is tasked with finding each one of her lover's scattered bones, his severed body hidden in the darkest corners of the realm. The quest is an impossible task, yet she must make the dangerous journey alone using only her own faith and fight. But the tasks at hand are brutal, their battles not easily won. But Sella doesn't care how treacherous the challenges are. She'll do whatever it takes because it was her fault Cade was punished. Promised to the primordial goddess as a child, it was Sella's sacred duty to remain pure and untouched. To be chosen as the goddess's vessel was the highest honour, one Sella devoted her life to, until the handsome thief Cade broke into the temple. He obliterated her world, rewriting her future, and despite her vows, she couldn't resist the beautiful longing that ignited between them. Their forbidden friendship bloomed into a doomed romance, sending her and her beloved thief down a dark path of heartbreak, unspeakable danger, and a love that not even death could conquer. So I was really intrigued by this one when I heard April talking about this one, so I added it into my jar, and I'm really glad that I finally pulled this one out. So looking forward to reading that. Okay, and finally then I'm now going to pick something from my cards. So I'm going to shuffle these cards, see what I get, and then pick a book based on the prompt. So let's give these a shuffle and see what I end up with today. Okay, so the one that I've picked was your next book is a book that was gifted to you. So your next book is a book that was gifted to you. So I've actually had quite a few things gifted to me over the last weekend, which you will see in my book haul. So if you haven't seen my book haul yet from Rare 25 London, then you'll know that I did receive a lot of gifts from that particular book signing. But there is one particular book that springs to mind. It's a book that I've been meaning to read for a while, and it's a book that my sister bought me as a birthday present, and so I'm definitely going to be taking the opportunity to pick that one up now that I've pulled this prompt card from the pile. And that book is this book here, Blame It on the Pain by Ashley Jade. So the blurb on this one says, "Pain, it hurts us, it pushes us, it punishes us, or for the few poor souls out there like me, it defines us. I'm not a good person. There are no redeeming qualities about me, not anymore. Any that I had, I'd given to the devil of the night that changed everything. The night my baby sister died, the night I murdered her killer. Yes, I've taken her life, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would never ever have an ounce of regret for being who I am. Until her. My name is Jackson Reed. There are 2 things you need to know about me. The first is that I'm in love with Alyssa Tanner. The second is that I'm a murderer. My name is Alyssa Tanner, but you probably know me as the whore who caused her stepfather to lose the election for New York City mayor. And you would be right, because the day the world branded me a slut, I decided to become one. You think you know all there is to know about me because you've seen what I look like naked. Believe me, you haven't even cracked the surface. What you don't know is my past, because I've been forced to keep it a secret to ensure my safety. What you don't know is my pain, because if you did, you'd be dead. I bet you think you know how this story will unfold, but trust me, you really have no idea." So, really looking forward to reading this one. It sounds really, really intriguing and pretty dark. And this one, it looks like was actually written in 2016, so a pretty old book now. So if you've read this one, let me know if you've read it and what you thought of it. And it is 398 pages in its paperback form, so I'll be really looking forward to picking this one up and reading it in August. So next up then is the 2 books that I'm going to be reading as part of the Immortals After Dark read along that I'm doing with Amber from Amber Reads Romance. We had a short break in the month of July where we didn't need to read a book, but in August I'm going to need to read the next 2 books, which are books 13 and 14 in that series. So the first one is Shadow's Claim by Kresley Cole. This is book 13, like I said, in the Immortals After Dark series. This one is 497 pages and was first published in November of 2012. And the blurb on this one says, Trajan Daciano, known as the Prince of Shadows, has spent his entire life serving his people. Striking mainly at night, he quietly executes any threat to their realm. But when he beholds Bettina, the sheltered ward of two of the law's most fearsome villains, he finally desires something for himself. After a life-shattering mistake, young Bettina is desperate to earn her guardian's trust back. She has no choice but to marry whichever suitor reigns victorious in the bid for her hand, even though she has already lost her heart to another, the mysterious cloaked swordsman that invades her dreams and tempts her with forbidden pleasure. Even if Trajan can survive the ruthless contest to claim Bettina as his wife, the true battle is yet to come. Will finally unleashing his ravenous lust frighten his bride, igniting a flame too hot for either of them to handle. So that is the first one. And then the second one is Macrieve, which is book 14 in the Immortals After Dark series by Kresley Cole. This one is 369 pages and was published in July 2013. And this one says, this is the next instalment in Kresley Cole's best-selling Immortals After Dark series, and it delves deeper into the mysterious Macrieve clan, a family tormented by ancient agonies and forbidden wolf hungers. Julian Macrieve was captured and experimented on by a dodgy human order, along with other immortals. During a prison break that devolved into one of the bloodiest massacres in recent history, he manages to escape. But the aftermath of his unspeakable torture preys on his damaged mind, and the wolf inside him roars for vengeance and carnage. When Julian encounters his mate, a vexingly impossible female unlike anything he'd ever dreamed from himself, she saves him from near insanity. Chloe Todd never even knew the world of law existed before she was kidnapped and auctioned off to be a slave to immortal creatures. With her dreams of a soccer career shattered, she doesn't think she'll last the night. Then Julian saves her and claims her as his own, but as passion burns between them, the full moon also approaches. So I've actually been loving this series, and I also have really enjoyed every time we've had a main hero or heroine from the werewolf clan, the Macrieves in particular. And we did get a good look at Julian in a previous story, particularly when we were on kind of like Torture Island. So looking forward to that one. Okay, so now we've covered off everything from my jars, my prompt cards, and the two books that I'm going to be reading for the read-along. Now I've got some new releases that I definitely want to get to in the month of August. The first one, and probably the first book I'm going to be reading in August, I'm going to be picking this up on the 31st of July, which is its release date, is Precious Hazard by Neva Altaj, and this is book 11 in her Perfectly Imperfect series. It's a mafia series, which I absolutely love, would highly recommend if you've not read anything from her before, but you like mafia romances, definitely give her a go, and it's worth making your way through all of these books. Every single one has got better and better, so I have really high expectations for this one. So this one is about Tara and Arturo, and the blurb on this one says, Tara, my life is perfect just the way it is now, without Arturo Deville in it, and now I'm ordered to marry that arrogant, self-centered snob. He expects me to be a sophisticated, docile wife who will smile and nod at his every demand, but it's the last thing I plan to do. Our marriage vows may say I will cherish and obey my husband, but the only vow I'm promising is to make his life a living hell, until he regrets the day he says I do. Arturo. There are 3 qualities I expect in a wife: obedient, meek, respectful, a woman who will fit into the Cosa Nostra world. I didn't get a single trait that I wanted in a spouse. Instead, I got everything I never knew I craved. She surged into my life like an earthquake, shaking me to my very core. My beautiful harbinger of chaos, my precious hazard, my wife. So like I say, I love everything this author has ever written, and really looking forward to that. So I'll be jumping on that immediately in the month of August. Then I've actually got 2 books that are coming out in August, and I'm also hoping to get the ARCs for these because I applied for the ARCs through the PR company Valentine PR. I haven't actually had confirmation that I will get them, but I've got everything crossed that I will get these ARCs, but even if I don't, I'll be picking these books up. The first one is To the Chase by Julia Wolfe, and this is due out on the 14th of August. This is book 3 in her Mile High Billionaires series, and the blurb on this one says, I've never thought of myself as forgettable. I'm confident, a little grumpy. I've I'm never afraid to speak my mind. I've got curves for days and hair the colour of a summer sky, all that tends to leave an impression. So when he shows up 2 years after ghosting me, acting like we've never met, I'm more thrown than I care to admit. Salvatore Gallo is shy, brilliant and only speaks when he means it. He's a CEO of a $1 billion cybersecurity company, but he blushes when I tease him and watches me like I'm a code he can't quite crack. He's still the same man who made my heart flutter with a single intense stare, and now he's asking for a second chance. I should say no, I want to, but this time he's not hiding how much he wants me, and I'm as drawn to him as ever. The problem, he is hiding other things, like the 3 kids who have become his entire world, choices he's made, and a life I'm not sure I'm ready to be part of. But Salvatore Gallo is patient, persistent, devastating in the way he shows up for me, again and again. He's chasing me, and I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending I don't want him to catch me. So I really love everything I've read by Julia Wolfe, and I've been enjoying this series so far. I actually read them out of order because I read book 2 first, then I went back to book 1, and like I say, now I'm going to be picking up book 3. So if I don't get it as an arc, then I'll be picking this up when its release date is on the 14th of August. And that also goes for another book that I really want to pick up, which is Unholy Union by Lana Sinclair. Now, this book actually caught my eye when I received a newsletter from Valentine PR advertising some arcs that they were inviting people to sign up to. I saw that this was actually a mafia romance, and I also saw that this is the first book written by this author, at least under this pen name. And so I thought I'd give it a go, because if it's really good, obviously it's always good to start early with an author and make sure you don't miss out on any great books. So I've got high hopes for this one. And again, this one is a dark arranged marriage mafia romance. So this one is due out on the 21st of August, and like I say, I am hoping to get an arc, but otherwise I will make sure I pick this up on release day. And the blurb on this one says, born into hatred, bound by marriage, consumed by a forbidden fire, I was a pawn to end a mafia war, a peace offering from my father to his bloodthirsty rivals, nothing more than a pretty plaything for the ruthless heir to the throne held by our enemies. Cato Valenti is a monster, and I'm the pet trapped inside his gilded cage. Cold, cruel and cunning, he demands a loyal and obedient wife. But my devotion is to vengeance, and his downfall is my only desire. He intends to break me, but I refuse to be tamed. I am a problem, not a prize, a viper in disguise, not a wife. His unyielding grip doesn't scare me. It's the storm in his eyes and the heat of his touch that makes my heart pound. It's the way my body begins to betray me no matter how hard I try to resist him. In a world where love is weakness, hatred is a weapon, and wielding power is the only way to survive, the once sacred line between treachery and temptation begins to blur, and 2 enemies are forced together in an unholy union. So I thought that sounded really, really good, and I'm looking forward to picking that one up in the month of August. Okay, so there we are. They're all the books that are going to be confirmed on my TBR for the month of August. That's 9 books. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me. And just a final shout out, as always, that if you've got a book that you want to recommend to me, then please don't hesitate to let me know. You can do that in the comments section down below, or complete my book recommendation form, the link to which is in the description box down below. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Can I just say as well that it's super hot again here in the UK. We are going from heat wave to heat wave, and although it's only sort of 31 degrees, which for American viewers is sort of in the early 90 degrees Fahrenheit, it doesn't sound as hot as it can get in other places. But trust me, here in the UK it feels so much worse than when you are on holiday in a much hotter climate. We're just not equipped at all to deal with the heat, and as such I am very, very hot, but also my camera keeps overheating here in the room as well, so I can only record for a few minutes at a time before I have to stop, cool my camera down and start again. So filming the last couple of weeks has been quite a challenge, a little bit painful, but we're getting there. And fortunately this video was always slightly shorter than some of my others, so only took 2 takes. Anyway, that is enough of my rambling, and this may or may not make it into the bloopers. See you next time.